Alright folks, it's turn 46, and this turn is another example of the irritation of being an underwater nation with fairly limited combat options. Now, of course, part of this is just straight up my fault, but a lot of this is straight up my fault. But in any case, we sent this army in to try and actually roll over Fomoria, as you'll recall. We were planning to just move past. But Fomoria had other plans. They were patrolling with 2 Nemedian sorceresses and their god, Goals the Demi-Lich, with a ring of levitation, so he is floating, and he's a wide rainbow with Earth 4, Death 5, Elemental Paths 3, he's immortal, etc. He also has a Watcher that he's summoned, which can throw lightning and is very tough, and then his random province defense. And what he did was, you can see it here, he cast Wailing Winds and summoned Earth Power while I was casting all my spells and summoning water elementals and such, and then he cast Earthquake. And so the combination is Wailing Winds lowers everyone's morale on my side, which doesn't affect my Lobo Guard, but does affect all my mages, who already have pretty shit morale. And so Wailing Winds lowers their morale, Earthquake then does damage to everyone, forcing morale checks. And the morale checks cause my now lower morale mages to rout, even though my troops don't give a shit, because my troops are infinite morale, being mindless. Also, the Earthquake kills Lobo Guard a lot, like really a lot. And then once all my mages are routed, all of my mindless units just disintegrate. So, the net result is complete wipeout. I lose a mage and literally all of my troops except like 3 guys in exchange for no functional damage. I cost them a few gems, that's it. It was very well done, it was very efficient. Props to Fomoria for doing that properly. In Falador, we rolled back in with this army and just took the place over. We're besieging Falador, the walls are moderately damaged. We are gatewaying in about 180 units, including some more trolls and a ton of Lobo Guard. So we're just gatewaying those guys right into here, and then we'll roll right up onto Falador next turn. This army is scripted to Serpent's Blessing Foul Vapors, and then spam mainly Enslave Mind, but also some Soul Slay. Which should do pretty well since he doesn't have a whole lot of numbers left anymore. These forces are just gonna fucking stand here, I guess, like be a force in being. Stone Heavens rebelled against me this turn, and Agartha captured Fenatse, or however you pronounce that, which was a high-level throne. And they captured it primarily by just rolling in with a huge pile of dudes, because it was defended primarily by a huge pile of dudes. Huge pile of Enkidu dudes and Springhawks, to be precise. They also had an Anunnaki of the Sky, who wasn't doing anything particularly efficient. But the Springhawks landed back here, attacked the Magma Children, and that was actually a really bad place for them to attack, because, yes, they paralyze all the Magma Children, but Magma Children have this Flame Strike attack, remember? Which is armor-piercing, and area of effect 1, so it ignores defense, and it's magical, so it ignores ethereality, which means the Springhawks, which have low HP and no protection and are ethereal, take a whole bunch of damage from it. And we also have the Great Olms, of course, firing off their paralysis. This is actually a hugely powerful and expensive Doom stack from Agartha, of, like, primarily Sacreds, primarily capital-only Sacreds, and then a ton of summons led by a couple of mages. Might of the Mountains, the Oracle of Subterranean Fires, is here with his ridiculous Bless, Undying, Magic Resistance, Defense, Attack, Shock Resistance, Regeneration, Blood Surge, Combat Speed, everything, just everything. And so, he did get, it looks like, Fog Warriors off on all of his troops. It's not going to make a whole lot of difference. You can see the Springhawks are mostly obliterated. And of course, Springhawks are very bad against Seal Guard because Seal Guard have magic weapons. Up here, the Sacreds go fight the Enkidu, as well as the Magma Kids, and they do a really good job because they're extremely tough and they hit really, really hard for tons of damage. So the Enkidu are routed off very quickly. All these air elementals down here are struggling to kill a single Seal Guard because of their 10 shock resistance, so they're just not dying. And the other Seal Guard and Magma Children roll in. Everything has magic weapons. Everything is very efficient at doing this, so the Living Clouds is not actually destroying this army in the way spammed Living Clouds often does. It's inflicting a lot of casualties, don't get me wrong, but this army is big and tough enough to absorb a lot of casualties. So, as you can see here, he ended up losing 1 Ancient One, 7 Seal Guards, 73 Magma Children, and 3 Great Olms. So, fairly expensive, actually, but in the process, he wiped out the Defenders of the Throne. The Magma Children got tons and tons of kills. The Seal Guards got a lot of kills compared to their deaths. So, a very powerful and solid Doom stack here just ground through the old-fashioned way, as opposed to like gearing out some kind of vanity thug in order to deal with this. The way to cheese this throne, I think I've talked about this before, is to have a thug kitted out with like 50 shock resistance and a weapon that's completely ineffective against Springhawks. And so the Springhawks will jump in, surround that thug, not be able to do any damage because their only attack is Lightning Swarm, which does a small amount of shock damage. And if you give him like a Thunder Whip or something that does a small amount of shock damage, and so can't hurt Springhawks, that thug will just stand there not dying and not inflicting any damage until the battle times out. And everyone auto-routes off the field because none of these guys are mindless, except the Springhawks, who will disintegrate. And whatever summoned air elementals the Anunnaki of the sky has pumped out. So, yeah, you can cheese this throne pretty easily. But Kris Lighthawk, who's playing Agartha, decided to just go into it the old-fashioned way. Did very well. So, at this point, I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to be underwater, and I'm just going to do the usual Underwater Nation thing, I guess, which is research way up high and cast really annoying spells. So, Badger the Fourth is teleporting over here so we can cast Stellar Focus. We'll also try to cast, what's that spell called? Vengeful Water. We will cast Vengeful Water and spark Assassinations from Water Elementals on everybody in my Dominion, which isn't actually many people. Actually, I'll probably keep Vengeful Water in my back pocket so that it doesn't start hitting Agartha. But I would like to start spreading my Dominion more. Now, these two are under the influence of Patch to the Future, who is AI Niefelheim, actually, which is sort of hilarious. Like, how the hell is Patch to the Future's Dominion spreading that hard when he's actually dead? Like, literally pretty much dead. I don't know. It's frankly baffling. But I've got this huge horde of troops. I'm just teleporting them away. We've got a lot of Lamias being summoned over here in Ulm, so Ulm is spending his nature gems summoning Regenerating Chaff, which is useful. AI Helheim has been essentially torn apart, like he's basically gone. Funnily enough, AI is actually making a little bit of a miniature resurgence here, centered around his own capital, which has fucking 500 income. That's amazing. That's a lot of income. How much income does Caelum have? Where actually is Caelum? Caelum is under siege by Therodos. So Caelum is having some troubles right now. Like, good luck to him. Cerulean Sea has no magic sites that have been found in it. I'm strongly tempted to teleport a Mind Lord over and just take Cerulean Sea with water elementals. In fact, I think I will do that, just for the fun of it. And, yeah, so things on land are heating up. Agartha, definitely in a commanding position. Competition currently, potentially Caelum, if Caelum can extricate itself from this situation that they're in, where they are fighting Therodos, so they can push Therodos back off, basically off the land. Then Caelum will be in a pretty solid position. Pangaea, potentially. Ulm is doing okay, but they're not a competitor. Really the biggest, by far the winner right now. If I were to call this game right now, it would be Agartha all day, every day, twice on Sundays. No one else is really standing up to them. Caelum is definitely the strongest after them, but Caelum is fighting on multiple fronts and kind of having a struggle. In any case, that's the turn. That's turn 46. I'm just researching up towards Thaumaturgy level 9, which I will hit fairly soon, actually. I'll hit Thaumaturgy level 9 by, like, turn 54, 55. And hopefully I will have the gems to take advantage when that happens. Now, I am not, as I've mentioned, the fastest researcher in this game, so we'll kind of see what happens when I do that. It will give me Master Enslave and Astral Travel, but I will need Enchantment 9 for Arcane Nexus, so that's going to be the next goal. And there's lots of stuff that I'm just fucking, like, leaving behind right now, which is kind of funny, but it just is what it is. I'm not focused on those other paths. I'm focused on... I'm lopsidedly pursuing my specific research goals because I can, because I'm underwater and thus safe. And what I'd like to do, actually... Yeah, the Fomoria thing has turned into a fucking quagmire, which I probably should have predicted, just given how hard it is for Relay to fight on land. But I'm hoping that I can secure Falador at least. grab that. I mean, I'm still hoping to secure Fomoria. It's just becoming harder and harder because he still has Fomorian Kings and his fucking Demi-Lich. And the Demi-Lich and the Fomorian Kings are very, very good at countering my specific abilities. In terms of research, I'm up there. I'm below Therodos and also below Ulm. Therodos is winning the research race. What I'd like is I would like to finish this situation some kind of way, and then probably make a deal with Caelum to attack Therodos, which Caelum should be all too willing to do because Caelum has, their capital has been broken by Therodos. I didn't even notice that. That is terrible for Caelum. I hope to God they have something to fix this. Yeah, Therodos has to be stopped then, because Therodos is actually doing very well. And that's a problem. Okay. Yeah, and of course I would love to steal their delicious underwater gems. So what I want, actually, is I want to persuade... Caelum obviously is already fighting them. I'd like to persuade Pangaea to fight them as well. Get Pangaea to fight Therodos alongside Caelum. And then let that draw the ghosts onto land, and then I can attack them underwater. One way that I can potentially do that would be by casting, I don't have the research for it, casting Seas of Ice, which is in Alteration 7, so it would take a while for me to get up there. But Sea of Ice would, of course, lock whatever ghosts are above land on the land, while my guys are underwater, and so I can fight a fraction of his empire. That would actually be a really good idea, wouldn't it? Alteration level 7. And that would also give me Wave Warriors. And Manifest Vitriol, which I never actually bothered to go get after specifically hunting down mages to cast it with. So, yeah. Okay. So going down Alteration might be the play instead of Enchantment. The Enchantment level 9 will be expensive as hell. Allure of the Deep isn't particularly important. Yeah, let's hit Alteration level 7, which will happen very rapidly because my research is so high. And, think about throwing Sea of Ice in order to, as I said, trap a whole bunch of ghosts above water. We're going to start churning out scouts here to infiltrate into his territory, and we're going to start massing up Giboleths and Tritons. My recruitment points here are such shit. Yeah, Slave Guardian Tritons, that's what we want. Get the good old Slave Guardian Tritons over here. Great, and we've got another huge pile of Loboguard over there. It's not actually a huge pile of Loboguard, it's kind of a medium pile of Loboguard. But it's a big enough pile of Loboguard that we can definitely use them. I'm not going to move them just yet because I don't want to tip anybody off, but I'm going to leave them right there. We'll see, like I said, we'll try to take Falador. We may try to make some kind of a peace deal with Fomoria, I guess. As much as that galls me to do. But in this situation, it might be the best thing, because, like, Fomoria's knocked out of the running, right? It's like, they're not actually important in how the rest of the game is going to go. Probably. This late in the game, I mean, it's turn 46, so we're well over halfway through the game. God, I hope. They're not going to be able to come back, especially not when they're right next door to Agartha. And Agartha is, like, as I said, by far the winningest player in this game. My main concern actually would be that Agartha taking them and getting their gem income, because Agartha is already, like, way out in front in terms of gem income. And I am not at all way out in front in terms of gem income. I desperately need more gem income. My gem income is very mediocre right now. And could be a lot better. The only two things that I actually have are water and astral, which is kind of like how this goes. Like, this is how Relay ends up. You get water and you get astral, then you're like, well, okay, I've got some other things, I guess. But we'll get it all settled, and we will, probably going to shift towards Therodos. Just because I really want his gem income, and I really want to push him out of the water. So yeah, Seas of Ice, attack Therodos, try to overcome. I actually do not want to use the Lobo Guard against him very much, because their magic resistance is terrible, and so the ghosts will kill them very effectively. What I want to use against Therodos is Triton Knights. Yes, I want to start recruiting as many Triton Knights as possible, and while I'm doing that, I want to patrol with everything Shukalatuda can to prevent him from seeing me recruiting all of them, if at all possible. Okay, that's the turn. I will see you all in turn 47. Okay, folks, so, this still isn't going very well. Falador, this battle happened just like the previous one. Hit me with Wailing Winds, and unfortunately Wailing Winds is a spell that I have a hard time countering, just because my mages, the primary part of my mage core, has such low morale. Slave mages have morale 7 base, which makes them very, very vulnerable to fear. Now, I do have Androdai. I could potentially, slowly, build a communion using Androdai, which have quite high morale. And my Mind Lords have reasonably high morale as well, but it's just a huge pain in the ass. As much as I hate to say it, I'm gonna leave Fomoria alone for a couple of turns at least. We're gonna go retake the Hungry Sea, and I'm thinking it's getting close to time to shift my attention to Therodos. Now, in terms of research, we swapped over, and I'm still thinking about this, about what I want my research to be, because I like Astral 9 will give me Master and Slave, which is a huge win condition. Evocation level 6 would be pretty quick to get, and that would give me Mind Hunt, which is a super useful spell to have. That said, I don't know that it's more important than Master and Slave. Evocation, Mind Hunt basically lets me spend gems to spam Soul Slays at targets that don't have Astral Magic nearby. I'm gonna go for Thaumaturgy level 9 first. So, okay, so we're doing that. We're really struggling for income, so I really do need to expand somewhere. Fomoria is just being a huge pain in the ass about it. I mean, like, I have all these mindless troops, so, like, my troops are not going to rout. To be honest, like, going right in again might be a way to do this. Like, just going straight in again, do exactly the same thing. Just make everyone a communion slave, except for the 2 guys casting Foul Vapors and Serpent's Blessing, and then have O'Reilly casting Water Elementals, which of course are mindless. That could be a way to do this. You Water Elementals, Water Elementals, Water Elementals. So, at most, the Wailing Winds could only rout a couple of mages. And, like, I have 200 Lobo Guard who are very bad at fighting but can fight. My Slave Trolls could potentially be routed, but... yeah, you know what? We're just gonna go straight in again. We're gonna do it like, fuck this guy. Not really. He's playing a very good game. Coppernail is playing Fomoria. He's doing very, very well at defending himself. It's quite good. I do have Badger up here, and he's casting Stellar Focus, so that will push up my Astral income to 15, which will be good. I've got a whole bunch more of these boys here, another 170 with Oleg, who I have not done anything with yet, haven't renamed. We are going to have him... Gateway, he can't Gateway because he's only Astral 3. Lame. I'll tell you what. You, sir, don't need that crystal coin anymore. So we can give that to Oleg, who I will rename pretty shortly here. And then Oleg can cast Gateway. Boop. Bring up another 170 little Lobo boys and just overwhelm the enemy with huge, huge amounts of garbage. That's one way to do it. Actually, so yeah, we're actually going to move those guys right over there. We're going to retake the Hungry Sea, and then we will collapse all 300 some odd on Falador. Meanwhile, Holber, can you summon something else that's mindless and useful? Clayman could be decent. Enliven statues? Yeah, enliven some statues. Statues are good. So we'll do that. Yeah, that's basically the turn. We're not really doing much else at the moment, but I do need to, like, turning on Therodos is valuable. If I think I can take out Fomoria in the next few turns, it's worth doing. If it's going to be another fucking 10 or 15 turn struggle, then it's not worth doing. But it would absolutely be worth taking Fomoria if I at all possibly can. And then that would give me a land area from which I could help put pressure on Therodos. I'm going to be contacting Caelum probably next turn in order to sound him out about an alliance against... Well, actually, I'm not going to contact him yet. What I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to get Caelum and Pangaea to agree to go in with me against Therodos. That's my ultimate goal there. Knock Therodos out, take over all the water, including all these gems. There's a lot of gems down here, including a lot of death gems, of course. So he's got 4 death gems out of that province. He's got a death gem out of that province, so that's 5, 6, 7, plus a whole bunch of others. Telkinus, 8. He's got a lot of gem income in his, just these 6 provinces that I would love to have. And so I'm still building up my undersea forces, including, I'm recruiting the Triton Knights who have the magical Alicorn attack, and the relatively high magic resistance, and with anti-magic and all the various other spells that I could throw down, should be able to take him. So yeah, that shouldn't be much of a problem. And of course I can cast Serpent's Blessing now, so I can give myself poison resistance and prevent any Telkine vapors or anything from destroying me. So I think that'll be fine. I won't want to use Loboguard for that, of course. I've talked about that before, why that is. Loboguard just aren't super good for that purpose because of their super, super low magic resistance. I'm not recruiting many mages just because I'm cripplingly short on funds. And I do need to have some troops as well, and I'm recruiting a Mind Lord. So next turn I'll be able to recruit a couple more mages. But we are definitely going to build up to launch that attack in a few turns, assuming we manage to actually take Falador. If we can take Falador and lay Fomoria under siege, then I'll be like, okay, so now we're in good shape, now we can, like, turn on Therodos and accomplish something there. But in any case, Therodos is doing pretty well. Helheim, after going AI, has been comprehensively torn apart. I can't really get in on that action, unfortunately, since I don't border him anywhere, because Therodos is in the way. So we'll see how that goes. I am gonna slip over and grab that, which is owned by Arcoscephale. I'll teleport a guy over to take that pretty soon. Might be a couple of turns. Maybe after I take Falador, I'll teleport a Mind Lord into Cerulean Sea and capture it. But in any case, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all in turn 48. This game is showing off one of the problems playing at Water Nation, which is that I'm just kind of stagnating, because I'm like, well, it's hard for me to get out of the water against determined defenses. Of course, I'm not playing ideally, because I'm not nearly as good at scripting as some other people are, but we'll get there eventually. It just takes time. And you end up in this situation where I'm like, well, I'm here. I'm still relevant to the game-ish, but also I'm not very relevant, because it's hard for me to get out and actually fight the players that are winning. Like right now, it's Agartha. Agartha already has 5 out of 9 points. And he's positioned such that he could potentially make a lunge for a couple of others. He could attack the Throne of Pestilence without too much trouble. He could easily attack the Throne of the Sun. The Throne of the Sun is close to his borders. It's owned by a Rus. Rus is not in a strong position. Rus is actually under attack by Hinnom right now. Hinnom is refusing to die. The Golden Apostate is doing a bang-up job, even though Hinnom itself is under siege by Agartha. But Hinnom is over here raiding Rus as well, and Rus is also under siege by Independence, so, like, yeah, you know, it could be, Agartha could easily, after taking Hinnom, redirect his armies, roll in through there, take that. At that point, with the Throne of the Sun, he would only be 1 point away from victory. So Agartha's actually shockingly close. I don't know if it's possible to stop him at this point. If it was possible to stop him, it would require a very significant coordination of forces And unfortunately, his neighbors are not very powerful. So we've got Rus, who is having struggles. We've got Tianqi, who is not in the strongest of positions. And we've got Pangaea, who's barely a neighbor. And Pangaea is doing well. Pangaea is strong, but not the absolute strong. Like, I would love it if Caelum was adjacent to Agartha, and I could persuade them to fight. But as it is, I'm afraid that the game's just going to end sometime in the 50s, probably the early 50s, while I am either still fighting Fomoria or possibly have just managed to finish off Fomoria, and I'm now trying to start a fight against Therodos. But we'll see what happens. You know, maybe it'll take a long time. Maybe Agartha will get caught up in like 3 simultaneous border wars and really start struggling, and things will change. And hopefully, I'll get my Thaumaturgy level 9 and be able to open up a can of magical whoop-ass all over the next poor unfortunate army that tries to fight me. But in any case, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all in turn 48. Okay, folks, it's turn 49. Now, I want you to understand something. It's been actually 2 weeks since this game ticked. The reason why it's been 2 weeks is because, first of all, I mean, this game has been running a little bit slowly because we've had a lot of extensions, a lot of people kind of getting busy with things. And then on top of that, Llama server has just been shitting the bed. I mean, I don't want to be super rude about it, but it really hasn't been reliable for, you know, some time. So we haven't had a tick in 2 weeks. I actually staled last turn for that reason. Basically, I legitimately was not expecting a turn to happen, despite being the host of the game. So, you know, good job me, pat myself on the back for that. Yep, there you go. Okay, good, great. So, yeah, I staled last turn, which is why it's turn 49 instead of turn 48. But fortunately, not a whole lot happened for me. Now, Therodos is making great inroads and has actually taken Caelum. And Caelum, it looks like, may not be long for this world. Caelum's province count has plunged, their gem income has plunged, their income is going down, albeit still high. They actually have a lot more income than Therodos does, but in terms of gem income, they have actually been somewhat surpassed. Also, and I have to emphasize this again, they lost their fucking capital. So they're in a bad way. They've got a lot of territory, including they've got Arcoscephale, so they actually have a capital. It's just not their capital, so they can't recruit Eagle Kings anymore. But yeah, Therodos is making a very strong push. They're making a play to be the very best there ever was. There's actually an independent soulless army besieging one of their forts right now, which is sort of hilarious. On land, developments, there was an arena battle, which was won by Niefelheim, who is, if I recall correctly, yes, AI, as is Helheim and and Tianqi. So yeah, lots of interesting stuff happened, and Hinnom, I believe, has also gone AI at this point. So yeah, Tianqi is AI, and I don't know why they did that. I guess they just decided they were done with the game. So there aren't actually all that many players left in the thing. We've got Arcoscephale is still human, hilariously enough, considering that they own literally one province, which I am going to teleport somebody over to take from them shortly, because, like, why not? We've got me, obviously. We've got Ulm. Ulm is still hanging in there. Caelum, Pangaea, Agartha. Tir Na is gone. Fomoria still hanging in there. So yeah, the game has definitely clarified, and certainly I would say still in the lead position is Agartha. Therodos is making a play. Pangaea they're still doing well, but I would say they've slowed down somewhat. They've lost some of their acceleration, and I forget. It's late. I'm tired. They're still doing well. They're still in it to win it, but I'm not sure they are going to win it. Ulm is spamming out a ton of Lamias, which is cool. Lamias are great. I still think it's Agartha's game. I think Kris Lighthawk playing Agartha is gonna take this one, but I'll be interested to see how he and Pangaea do. Meanwhile, I down here, I'm just sick of this whole fucking Fomoria thing. I'm like, Wailing Winds has got to go. I'm sick of it. So what I'm doing here is, all these mages I'm actually not taking with me. I'm sending over 300 Lobo Guard and a few living statues and a few slave trolls up to Falador. And, well, okay, so here's the thing. I do have access to Growing Fury, which counters Wailing Winds quite effectively. So I think, actually, upon second thought, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to script Growing Fury. And we're just going to send everybody over here. So we should break down the fort in one turn and then attack it. And if we attack it with Growing Fury, I think we win. Now, these guys, my Lobo Guard, do not hit hard enough to kill Fomorian kings. But my slave trolls do. And my living statues do. So, as long as some of them live, which shouldn't be too hard, they should be able to do a lot of damage. They should be able to, because he's got Knokur, 2 Fomorian kings, he's got some Fomorian giants in here, but not all that many. I think I can storm this fort with my 300 Lobo Guard plus my random other dudes. I've got my Mind Lords throwing in Slave Mind. I'll bring a bunch more water gems so I can summon a ton of water elementals. So I'll bring like 20 water gems. I think I can take that. And once I've taken that, I think I can spread out. I think I can take Wood of Many Paths, claim a couple of other provinces. I do pretty shortly need to cancel my non-aggression pact with Therodos, but I'm still kind of waiting on that just a little bit longer. Still churning out Triton Knights. And those Triton Knights need to come with Shukarachuda. Needs to move them up that way. We've got You the Fish now, dog, who is teleporting up here to grab another huge blob of Lobo Guard, because this is how we're going to try to win this. Just huge blobs of Lobo Guard. I'm also recruiting Androdai, and the reason I'm recruiting Androdai is that they have high base morale. So I can use them in this this context under Wailing Winds to fight pretty effectively. I've got a couple Eyes of the Void. I've got another Amulet of the Fish. I had a good random event that gave me that copper plate this turn. So overall, I think I'm in position to just finally fucking swarm Fomoria under with numbers. They've got almost nothing left. Like, they're near the end of their rope. As long as I can take Falador, march over here, do my thing, you know, I think I can do it. I'd love to take this province. This is a good province. I want it. I must have it. I will take it. And we'll try to clean up the Fomoria thing and then fight Therodos. I would love to kind of, like, be involved in the Agartha situation, but I can't. We've talked about that before. It's just not strategically feasible. I'm just sitting over here quietly content with Niffle, and I will probably... tell you what, those are barbarians, right? I'm just gonna churn out some more Lobo Guard real quick, and in like a turn or two, I'll go take that other province there. In fact, leave those guys behind as well. I'll just send some mages up to spam some water elementals at them, take Rimire. And, yeah, and we'll be happy. Niefelheim is still alive, impressively. AI Niefelheim is doing the god of Niefelheim's work. And, of course, Force of Nature has taken the throne of Fortune, unfortunately. But we'll deal with that when the time comes. Oh, Cracked Tower. Oh my god, I want Cracked Tower. It has that... Yes, please, I must have it. I need it. I need it for flesh. The Flesh Garden of Mortal Remains. Ew, gross. But cool. I need this province. I must have delicious 2 air gems per turn. Gem income, still looking good, about the same. We hit Thaumaturgy level 8, so we're going to hit Thaumaturgy level 9 in a few turns, which will give us Master Enslave. And that will be fun. That will be a good old fucking time. Alright, but in any case, that was turn 49. I'll see y'all in turn 50, where hopefully we'll be storming Falador. And like I said, in about 5 turns, we'll be preparing to start putting Master Enslave into practice. So, take care.